The truth is, nobody knows what they're doing when they start. Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? When you start something new, you're supposed to be bad at it. And we don't often give ourselves like room to mess up and be bad. And that's often why we hold ourselves back from trying something new. And I just think that's so sad. And I would just like to reverse that. I would just like people listening to just like let that go and remember that when you walked, you had to crawl first and then you took steps, but you fell down. And whatever it was, when you were learning to mom, we did dumb things and, kept going. And so I think it's the same thing when you're starting something new at this age. We're not really into looking bad or right or feeling less than or feeling like incompetent in an area because most of us have gotten through our life with some degree at that point of competence and success. And so, and not even just monetarily, I just mean with all the things that we do on a daily basis. So it's good. It's a reminder to get back to just starting something new and feeling clunky, but doing it in spite of.
Yeah. I think that's... Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynne. I'm Dr. Brooke.
And I'm Dr. Lynne.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us again today. Fun topic to talk about.
Welcome. We're talking about doing something you've never done before. How it can be scary, but how you can take practical steps to do the things that you're dreaming about, that you want to get done and you have aspirations for.
Yes. This is so fun for me to talk about. Because
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I think it's a fun topic to have because that's, we did a topic a while back about a conversation that we had about, feeling like time is fleeting and what the things that we want to do. And I think this falls into the category of trying something new.
And
taking
this is a great time to do that because of the fact that we feel like, we sense that urgency of time. And if not now, when?
Exactly. And it goes back to that too, like when you do new things, you're a big proponent of this, doing new things and keeping your mind active. I think it's not only from an emotional level of like, there's so many good things that come when you do something new. And some of that is just what it does for your confidence, what it can do for you emotionally because it brings you joy. But also, I think what it could do for you physically because you're stimulating your brain, which is so important, right? We want our brains to stay healthy and active for as long as possible. So anytime, you could speak more to this than me, but I think anytime we're doing something new that our brain has to sort of learn more of, that's a good thing, right?
It's a good thing. Yeah, we talked about those dense memories and that novelty causes your brain to like slow down and make new neural pathways for whatever's happening. So it's like it sets up a new template in case you encounter that again. And so that's what helps you to really keep vibrant, keep your brain healthy, on its toes. And it's very important part of aging well.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think it keeps you a little youthful too when you're trying new things.
I really think so. I mean, right? Like, I don't know. What's the last new thing you did?
Ooh,
put you on the spot.
That's a good question.
Well, I can tell you what mine was.
While I think about it.
It was writing our book. It was writing our book.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean,
were you setting me up for that and I didn't answer you?
No.
Well, I wrote a book when I was 10. It just never got published.
Oh, so you've done it before. You've done it before. But that can be a scary thing. It was very scary for me. I'm not a writer. I don't consider myself a writer, but I do think it was on the other side of that. It's definitely something that I questioned whether I could do it. But once I got it done, I'm in that camp where anybody can do this if you want to do it.
Yes.
So if you're listening to this and you thought about writing a book, you just need to do it.
Yes. I mean, that's not to say like there weren't a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and it was just, I just wrote a book and it was so easy. It's not easy. Like, don't make it sound like that because it's not easy. It is a lot of work. and we're still editing it. So it's still going to be a lot of work,
Yeah.
but it's doable.
Yeah. It's just another instance where you just figure it out. You just take a step and you don't really have a choice. Like we really didn't have a choice. We had a contract. So we had to produce something.
Yes.
And
there was no going back.
And sometimes those are the best situations because you're sort of you're against the wall and you have to do it, but you're so happy you did because then you prove to yourself
you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a hard and fast accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping you accountable because you have to do it. Like you have somebody to answer to, which is a good thing. And I think for us, I wonder if you're going to give us some tips on like finding the new things or what would be good to go into, because I think like, for example, for us, writing a book came more naturally because we had already for a good 1.5 to 2 years been writing about the topic and subject matter in our blog. And even though you could say like our things on social media are like video clips, we put a lot of our heart and soul into the caption, and the captions are pretty lengthy. So hopefully if you're following us, you actually read those.
Yeah, please do, because I think you're a writer if you write, honestly. Like I kind of adopted that. So I didn't used to think of myself as a writer, but I write now.
Yeah.
Almost every day.
I was asking you if you usually have some like practical tips or strategies like to come up with what would be appropriate, a new thing for you to try, because there are some things that maybe you think I should try that, but it's probably not the right thing for you to do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how do you narrow that down or pick?
I didn't think about that. I suppose you could think about your mom type and just, get creative from there. But I did think about how most people don't start things because of overwhelm. Mm-hmm. So I did think about some practical tips there. And that old adage, how do you need an elephant? Just one bite at a time. I mean, for me with the book, that it felt so overwhelming to think about all of this ahead of me that I had to write, and to get started was the hardest part. The very first word that you write is the hardest word.
Yes.
Or the first sentence, I guess. And but the best advice we got, and it came from somebody in your accountability group, was to, and I'll let you tell it because it was advice you shared with me, and that is actually how I stayed on deadline and got it done. I mean, I had this romanticized vision of myself, Love Actually, when he goes away to the south of France or Portugal, wherever he goes to write his book, and he's there and he's facing the pond. And, I thought, okay, this is happening. I'm going to write a book. This is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to just whisk away somewhere and hide away in bunker up until let's pump this baby out.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, I was going to say, by the way, some authors do actually do that.
No, I think that's great. And if I ever have the opportunity again, I think I might try to, try to fulfill that fantasy I have. But I mean, my life was still going. My work was, I still had to go to work. I still had to mother, my child. I was still, a wife. We had things happening. So I couldn't extricate myself from my other life. I had to, I had to figure it out.
If it's your, right. You have a lot of other things going on, and that's not your primary, that's also not your primary, work. That's not your primary job. You have a lot of other hats that you fill. So yeah, for sure. And honestly, even if that was only my, I know somebody who's written like several, 17 books, and he was on his 17th or 18th. And over the holiday, I'm guessing not Christmas, but when I say over the holiday, through the new year, he was just his wife was like, yeah, we can't do anything or go anywhere because literally he's in editing mode. The book is done, but he will not do, he just clears his schedule and he will not do anything until he's done. So he didn't even do a New Year's, nothing. He was just full blown, but that's what he does for a living.
Right.
That's his sole thing.
If
so
it happens
I think
to
everyone
happen
handles
on
things differently, but to your point, and by the way, even if all I did was be an author, that's because that sounds like I'm minimizing it. But even if that was the only thing that I was doing, I'm not sure I could sit there and do only that. And I know people who have just pumped out chapter after chapter. almost is like I have a little bit of ADD. I just can't get there. I can't sit that still. So for me, I was like, oh, how is this going to happen? And to your point, we're both very busy with other things. So I was on an accountability call and they were like, when are you getting started on this book? And I was like, yeah, well, I mean, I'm thinking like, I'm trying to think. I was like, here's what I said. And this may help some of you that are trying to get into whatever endeavor you're trying to get into. I was like, I just haven't been able to I've been so busy that I haven't been able to get to time to set aside for it. Like, so I'm like, I'm planning like in 2 weeks, I think I was flying somewhere and I was like, and I do really good work on a plane. So I'll be on the plane for 3 hours and I can sit down. And they were like, yeah, but you have 2 weeks. Like, you have to work on it in spite of. Like, so how do you do it with everything else going on? And one of the girls who's very wise that was on the call, and this isn't her own thing. I think it came from Atomic Habits. And I'll link that book because I was actually
Great
in the
book.
middle reading that. But anyway, she was like, approach it like anything else that you need to get done. It doesn't all have to be done all at once or in large chunk of time. And if you put that on yourself, it's overwhelming. And a lot of times you don't start or you don't follow through. So take it in 15-minute chunks. Tell yourself that every single day you're going to set 15 minutes, because anyone can do 15 minutes. And she was like, and some days you might sit down and do, and again, this applies to anything, not just writing a book. You might get your 15 minutes in and be like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't wait for that to be over. But a lot of times what you're going to find is you sat down to do it because you gave yourself the freedom to know it's only got to be 15 minutes. There's no big commitment here. But then you get into a flow and all of a sudden a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour or more have gone by. So that's definitely how I wrote the book. And it sounds like that's what you did too.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people use that with exercise too. Like, I think to your point, you could use that for just about anything. It's giving yourself permission because, like you said, anybody can do 10 minutes or 15 minutes of something, but it's the overwhelm of the thought of like, okay, I got to clear a whole day schedule. I've got to clear a
Yes.
whole week to do this. And the truth is, in our lives, with our setup of circumstances, that book wasn't going to get written that way.
Yes. There was a book that I had read. This is going back years. I haven't read any of her work in a long, 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 long time. But have you heard of Anne Lamott?
I have, and I haven't really like read a lot of her work. I've listened to some podcasts with her. She's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, she has some other things that were not just personally for me, but this particular book, and I think it was maybe the first book and only book I read through of hers, was called Bird by Bird, and it was all about writing a book. And it was basically like, the title seems a little weird, but it was just that, like word by word, like you just
Oh, I thought you said bird
I
by
did.
bird.
It is bird by bird, but essentially it
Oh,
was like you don't have to think about writing all of these words. It's just write a word, a sentence, a paragraph at a time, and then pretty soon it adds up. You just keep little by little chipping away at it. It doesn't
yeah.
have to be
I mean,
this
that's
big
a great
thing.
metaphor for a really happy, fulfilled life after kids, right? Just day by day, moment
Right.
by moment,
Right.
and then it all comes together. We speak that a lot.
Right. It doesn't have to be like, and I think this is good to talk about because for many of us right now, we're looking for that next thing, and it might have to be a side hustle or a side gig. And I don't want to say hustle because we don't have to be hustling. If many of us don't have to hustle if we want. Some of us do, but do you know what I'm saying? You might not.
Culturally, that's common
Yes.
language.
Right. But you might be in a situation where you would like to pivot and do something new, but you're still in a job or a career. So you're not quite ready to give it your full go. So this is a great way to sort of get a little bit started and dabble in it, right?
Yeah.
And get going.
Yeah. And just, not get overwhelmed. Take it minute by minute, word by word, bite by bite,
Yep.
whatever the
Bird by
task
bird.
is, bird by bird.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I another part of this conversation too, because we get into that whole imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
And who am I to write a book, or who am I to, I don't know, build a church, or
Mm-hmm.
who am I to take a new job and switch towns, or whatever the thing is for you. I mean, the truth is, nobody knows what they're doing when they start. Nobody,
Yep.
right? When you start something new, you're supposed to be bad at it. And we don't often give ourselves like room to mess up and be bad. And that's often why we hold ourselves back from trying something new. And I just think that's so sad. And I would just like to reverse that. I would just like people listening to just like let that go and remember that when you walked, you had to crawl first and then you took steps, but you fell down. And whatever it was, when you were learning to mom, we did dumb things and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, kept going. And so I think it's the same thing when you're starting something new at this age. We're not really into looking bad or right or
Yeah.
feeling less than or feeling like incompetent in an area because most of us have gotten through our life with some degree at that point of competence
Sure.
and success. And so, and not even just monetarily, I just mean with all the things that we do on a daily
Right.
basis. So it's a reminder to get back to just starting something new and feeling clunky, but doing it in spite of.
Yeah. I think that's beautifully said. It's okay to not, maybe you're not going to be like bad at it, but you might not just be really good at it. And you might be bad too, but it's okay to do that. I remember when this is going back, but we were in Florida for a conference, like we were speaking.
Mm.
And I remember like after that, you're like, oh my gosh, I could have done, and you're a perfectionist. So, like we were having that conversation. I remember saying to you, like, it was our first time. Like, what did you think? Like, every time you do, it's going to be a little
Hmm.
better. But
Hmm.
the first time of anything, give yourself a break.
Right.
And by the way, nobody in that audience knew. Like, you were awesome. But do you remember us having that conversation?
Oh, I do. I think that every time I get done with speaking is that's my next mountain to climb, I think. And I only say that because it's been such a fear of mine. I never talk about imposter syndrome with that when I'm speaking. I just never thought I could ever bridge that gap and get there. But lo and behold, I've done it a few times now and look at me, I'm still alive. I have a broken toe, but hey.
At a speaking engagement?
No,
I was going to
no,
say.
no. I'm just sitting here and realizing my toe is still broken. It's rebroken.
These
Um,
are the times when I'm like, you don't even know how funny you are. I'm still alive. I have
I'm
a
in one
broken toe
piece. I'm in one piece.
ish. You're in a piece and a half.
Yeah, piece and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Public speaking, give yourself a little break there because I think it's like the number one fear that everybody has. It's just
Yeah,
oof, that's a hard thing.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's true. But again, we can do hard things.
Yes.
You got to want to do it. Don't put yourself in something that's just like, I don't want to do that. Feel it in your heart. But if there's something that you want and to get to that thing, you have to do things like speaking or writing that make you feel uncomfortable. It's going to be worth it in the end.
Sure. And sometimes it's things that maybe don't make you feel uncomfortable. It's just legitimately something new that you have never done before.
Yeah.
And maybe like give yourself the space. Maybe if you're hearing this conversation, you needed to hear it because um you just didn't even consider doing something new because you're just used to your old routine. And it is again good for our brains to do new things. So you might want to start to think about that. And also don't write something new off because you just assume you're going to hate it or not like it, aside from be good at it, but just that you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah. That's
And
great
I will
advice.
give you an example from my own life because I'm almost to the point, and I can't say that this is like an absolute new thing for me because I've dabbled in it in the past, but I was really young. I was like in high school, and I don't think I've done it since high school. Maybe I could be wrong here or there, but anyway, golf. And I'm telling you, like, I'm here to say I do not like golf.
Which is too bad because your whole family is
Well,
golfing
that's
together
why
right
I'm
now.
almost ready to give it another go.
I was just going to say to you when you were saying that earlier, like, is it something you can get into and take lessons and
I can, and
get the cute clothes and
most of the time I say, when it comes to my kids, like I don't, whatever it is that they like, if I don't like it, I'll figure it out and I'll just do it because I'm meeting them where they are and I want to spend time with them. I did that, by the way, with watching like Marvel movies with Andrew, and turns out I love them. I do have a past history with golf, so I've done it. So I kind of know what it's like. It's not like something brand new. And I know that it was like, I don't want to waste a whole day doing that.
I don't
Um,
get the allure. I know there are people
I
out there
mean,
listening, women that love it. And I do feel like I'll give it a go sometime because it's such a great way to get out with your spouse or friends, after retirement and
yeah,
get fresh air and be active. I mean, what else do you do if you don't golf or play tennis or walk or, you just, those are the things you do. So,
right. So I'm thinking I'm considering it because now all three of my boys are playing and my husband loves golf. He's an avid
yep,
golfer. And we've always said like it's okay and it is okay for him to have his things and I have my thing and like you go and have your fun with your buddies golfing when the kids are older and I'll be doing my yoga class or whatever and I can't wait to meet
there
you
you
for
go.
lunch.
Just like on vacation,
Yeah,
right?
but
Giving
now
yourself.
it's kind of like, yeah, but if they're all going out for the day and
Now
my
your
kids are
kids are
only home
going.
for a bit of time in the summer, maybe I want to give it another go. Maybe I'll like it better this time. I mean, that's a good point too because something new ish could be something that you had done in the past and maybe didn't have a good experience or weren't sure it was for you, but timing is everything sometimes.
I believe that. And I think absolutely it's new because it's new right now,
Hmm.
and you're starting
It's not a
over.
part of my routine or my lifestyle.
Yeah. You're starting over with it. Yeah, could you go and just ride in the cart? I've done that before. It's super fun, but I guess over and over and over that wouldn't,
And
you
nobody
know,
wants me there. I mean,
it's not true.
that sounds like I'm like being a martyr, like poor me. But what I mean is like they're all going to be like, "Mom, what are you doing? Why are you riding in
Uh,
this cart with us?" Like I'd get made fun of if I was just I'm just here to hang out, guys. They don't want that. They don't want a hovering
oh,
mother.
boys.
I mean, Kenny would probably be okay with that, but if they're all out golf and also by the way, here's a good point. I probably won't golf because then we'd be a five-some and you can't have a five-some in
Oh,
golf.
yeah.
So it's
You had
better
too
off
many
to Kenny to
children.
just have his thing and I'll meet them afterwards for drinks. But, I don't know.
There you go.
Anyway, we are kicking around doing something with AJ for spring
Until there's
break.
wives, and maybe you guys can all golf together.
Or maybe the guys go and I stay with the girls and we go to the
Ah,
spa.
there you go. Then
That's not a new
everybody's
thing, but that
happy.
sounds like a far better thing.
Then everybody's happy.
Yeah. Yeah, but so back to trying something new, back to writing book. Do you have other tips specifically for book or other ways I derailed us?
I've given the best ones. Um,
So that's it. You're
that's it.
basically saying that's all
Chapter
I got.
closed, book written. No, I just think like it's if we can do it, you can do it. So if it is a dream of yours, like just start now again. Like if not now, when? I feel like a part of my role is to just inspire women to just take one little step forward to do something that they've been wanting to do, you
Yep.
know? And it wasn't really ever on my list, but it was on yours. And I mean, I guess that's not true. I think when I was little, I thought I would write a book, because I liked school. I was such a learner. I liked to read a lot.
Yeah.
But then as I got older, I sort of let that dream go, and I was fine with it. And then it just landed in our lap.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just never know when something's going to land in your lap. So you have to just seize that opportunity. I guess we could have said no, but that wasn't an option, right?
I mean, it could have been, but you just mean mentally for us. There was no way
Yeah,
we were saying
there's
no to
no way
that
we
when
were
a
going to say no.
publisher reaches out. Now, yeah.
Yeah.
No. The funny thing is though, when I was young, I always only ever wanted to be one of two things, and it was an author/journalist or a chiropractor. For years, I
And
wasn't
now
sure
you're
which I would
both.
do, and for a while it was just chiropractic. I didn't go to school for journalism. Sometimes I wonder what my life would have looked like had I. But fortunately for me, I get to try it now, and I'm not maybe necessarily journalism you would call it, but we're writing a book. We do a lot of writing, so that's really fun. But I recall when we started Life After Kids early on, you said we're going to write a book, and I was like, "How are we going to
I
write?" I hope
did.
so. That's great, but that's a really lofty dream. But this is where like keep yourself open minded.
Mm-hmm.
Be open to new things and be keep your feelers up and be ready if
Yeah.
something does come your way to try.
And the law of attraction, sometimes when you speak something and write it down,
Yeah.
hint, hint, goals framework, things have a way of just coming to you and
Yeah.
working themselves out.
Yeah. But I think that's an important point, because if we can do this, which is like a total 180 from what we were doing. We were always working with women and helping them live a better life, but this is in a different realm of writing a book. And so you can we all can do the thing, whatever that thing is that's on our heart or that's placed in our lap that would be good for us. And there's it's a great thing. It's a great learning experience. It's good for your brain. It's joyful. Like, it builds confidence. And I don't mean just writing a book. That could be anything. Any new thing that you do, when you see it through and bring it to fruition, it's pretty cool. So if you're thinking of doing something, even if that aside anything that you're thinking of doing, simple things that you can do is to prepare yourself. Like, you also, like, there's something to be said for jumping in and doing the thing, but if there's something that you want to do, it might also require, like, you need to take a class, or you need to get a certification, or you need to, like, start the preparation. Take that, it just, as we said, like doing something for 15 minutes. You, in those scenarios, you don't have to get overwhelmed with, I've got to do all these things right now. No, pick the first right one thing, as small as it might be. That could just be making a phone call to ask somebody else how they went about doing something, and start there, and then just continue to take the next right step forward.
I
And I
love that
think that's the
advice.
quickest way to get you on the path to doing something new,
One,
especially if it's like a project or like a new career type thing or a new interest that you have, right? Like, you have to sort of build up to it, right?
for sure.
And it doesn't all have to be done right this minute.
One bite at a time, one
Yeah,
step at a time.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I think that's really an important point. And I think that's what holds us back. We've been talking a lot about the gym, but I think that's a perfect and simple example, because we've all been there. That's like, it's just getting started. It feels
Mm,
so overwhelming, and like, what's that going to look like, and
yep.
how am I going to, like,
Yeah. The beginning of anything takes like rocket launcher energy. It's the most energy
right.
of the entire process, whatever it is that you're doing, is getting started
Yes.
with anything you do.
And then you just, it's the momentum that comes from just taking that first step and getting started. And also, don't discount um the gift you get. I always go back to this, because our kids are watching everything we do. So don't discount the life lessons or the gift you're giving them, and seeing their mom, whatever that looks like that you're doing, like reinventing themselves a little bit or doing something new.
Yeah.
And the possibilities that opens up for them, not just your kids, but like your family, your friends. There's opportunities for us to lift each other up and inspire each other,
That's
right?
great.
Just by, like, being the example
Be the
and
example
doing
you
the
wish to
thing. Don't be
see.
afraid to do
Mhm.
it,
Yeah.
right? So important. What
Yeah. And I
else?
do think we do inspire each other when we do that. Whenever I have friends, like, I love talking with people who have things that they're trying. Don't you find it like just really like interesting, fascinated, and you're kind of like leaning in, like, ooh, what is that? Like, I want to try that too. And they just seem to be some of the more engaged people in their lives,
Yep. When
which
you
is why we prompt you guys all the time to give it a try and to make a
mm-hmm.
list, to have a few things that um, you want to try, and make some of them harder and things that you're reaching for, but
Right.
give it a shot. Who knows? What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. That's right. What is the worst that could happen?
Right?
And
You could
then
fail.
sometimes you have to do something to not be able to, I don't want to say this, do it well or not, whatever it is. Sometimes you have to go through something and not come out with the anticipated uh,
Outcome?
outcome. Thank you. To know that,
It
like,
wasn't
that's
for
okay
you.
too. It builds resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the end of the day, okay, it didn't work out, but I'm still here. It wasn't
Yep.
that big of a deal. I can move on to the next thing.
Or you did it and you found out it wasn't for you. You really
That
thought
too.
it would be, but you would have never known, and you would have had regrets. But now you know that it wasn't for you, and
Right.
you're
And
you're
sometimes you don't
good
know
with
that until you
letting it
actually
go.
just do it. And by the way, it's just another quick thing here. Like, I'm just thinking about my mom, because she's a really good example of trying new things, like the amount of things that she's done, and all done like after the age of 45, probably even after
Yeah, that's
50.
so cool.
Like she's done polar bear plunges with her friends. She's run half marathons. She's done triathlons. And these are all like active things, but like it's just is so interesting to watch. She's done country line dancing, like all of these just she is a woman that loves to try new things.
I love that. We could all
Learn new
take a
things, do new
page from her
things.
book. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got to be an Enneagram 7. So, anyway, do you have anything else to add before we wrap?
No, just go do some new stuff.
There you go.
You know?
Okay, that's
Yeah,
short and
try
sweet, to
it.
the
Try
point.
it. Yeah.
And our book is
Try it
coming
out.
out if it, according to the plan, at least as of right now, just so you know, in September, because right now when you're hearing this, it should probably be around June, so it's not going to be that far away.
Yeah, it's kind of perfect timing for moms in this life after kids, right? When September rolls around, it makes us melancholy and thoughtful. And some of us were new empty nesters. So,
Right.
sort of a perfect timing for that.
Yep, I agree. So, and I think that's the publishers did too. Anyway, ladies, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. It's always a pleasure to have you along for the ride. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for latest updates and everything that's going on in the community. www.lifeafterkids.com for the blog and for all of our free resources. You can also access the podcast there. And if you prefer to watch us, we are on YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, guys. Have a great week.